everyone. This is Mesha with As Long as You're Breathing, and you all know how much I love doing these. This is an Every Life is a Story event, and I have with me a pop-up that I'm going to get rid of. I have with me Joy Resor, and Joy is a fellow author who is a part of this series of books that we are both, I know, so proud of, the Find Your Voice, Save Your Life series, lead author Diana Leader. And there's a 1 and a 2, and there's going to be a 3. And Joy's one of the authors in it. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we turn it over and just let Joy just tell us her story. If you are watching us on Facebook, of course, it's streaming on YouTube as well. But if you're watching on Facebook, to know that you're here with us, you have to enable the settings in Facebook for StreamYard. And then you can post in the chat and I'll know that you're here. And we really want you to do that because we would love to interact with you. Hello, glad to have you. Be sure to enable your settings. It should pop up and say, do you want to enable your settings? And then you just click on over and say yes. And that way we know you're here and interact with us, please, because we'd love to answer your questions. And all that out of the way, Joy, welcome to Every Life is a Story. This is your story. So without further ado, you just tell everyone about you, who you are, what you do, and why. And then this is what grabbed my attention, like me. You are and I don't know that I am so much one, but I was told I was. Well, you are a joy bringer because that just lit up my heart. So Joy Resor.
Thank you, Mesha. I was delighted to be invited to your beautiful show. I was given the birth name Joy, and I was raised in a family that squashed the joy of me. I was sensitive. They were rude. They were slamming doors. My dad was a verbal abuser. My mother would pick me up very late from everything. I spent a lot of time. Oh, and my sister would slam the door. I would just be alone a lot. And what I did with that aloneness is I would sit in my room and write poetry. I would sit outside on a rock and pray to the God of my understanding. And I really believed that my life would get better someday. And it really has. In my 30s, I wrote a prayer in my journal. I have kept a journal probably from age 21 on. And I have bins of journals, which actually really supported me in writing chapters in books lately. In the book that you mentioned, Mesha, where it's volume 3 of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, I wrote a chapter called Letters to the Future because I took, do you want to say?
No, go ahead.
I took a journaling class before my husband moved me from Northeast Ohio to Western North Carolina. And then he actually asked for a divorce after we'd been here for 1 year. Yeah. But in that journaling class, I was able to switch my energy from fear of living on a mountaintop where I knew no one to excitement for this life that I would be given everything I needed, every person I needed. It really shifted me to be excited about living in a new place. And my life in this new place has been rather remarkable because when my husband said, I don't want to be with you anymore, it hit me in the gut like a black cloud. And I heard a voice that said, take in this darkness. You need it. You are going to transmute it.
Wow. Transmute it. Wow.
Yeah. And I had already been on a healing journey because my husband traveled so much and I was really a well-supported single mother of 2 sons with his big job on the road. I was doing healing. I was writing in journals. I was praying. I had become a church leader in this suburb of Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing as much healing as I could do. But when we moved, when I had that epiphany in a journaling class, Letters to the Future, I realized that not only would I do fine in the mountains of Western North Carolina, but my healing had stalled in Ohio, and new healing would enter for me. And it so has. This part of the world is a mecca for healers.
Yes.
The Asheville area, there's a vortex. Healers feel called here. I would meet one person at a networking meeting, have an appointment with her, and she would say, "Have you met this other person?" And then I would go to the other person, and that is a woman who healed me of my inner critics. I was being beaten up no longer from the outside, but I was being beaten up from within my own being.
Right.
All those
Yes.
voices
Yes.
from my childhood of shut up, we don't want to hear from you, be quiet, go away.
Yeah.
All of them were in me
Mm-hmm.
until I had a very beautiful experience with this healer, this practitioner who led me to have a dialogue with those voices in my journal. And I actually wrote about it in the first book that came through me, which is Go Enjoy an Alphabetical Adventure.
Wow.
This book became Essays, Questions, and Poems, and it came out 6 years ago. But I wrote about this woman, Jessica Chilton, because, and I give the formula for healing your inner critics in this book, that I paid her a lot of money to learn it, but I am giving this away. Because what I know is that healing our inner critics quiets the noise inside of us. And
Wow.
when we quiet the noise inside us, we can be in silence, we can meditate, we can think more clearly. I have accomplished so much on my journey to inspire others since my inner critics have quieted. So let's see, before this happened, I was I was visited by what I call the all, because the God energy introduced herself to me as the all.
Wow.
And and taught me in that visitation that separation is an illusion.
Yes.
I had been I had felt for decades that I didn't belong, that I was me in my little here, and everyone else was haven't they knew how to dress, they knew what to wear to the dance, and I didn't. I felt so I had this feeling of unbelonging. But divinity visiting me and teaching me that I am in you, Mesha, and you are in me, Mesha. We are all connected. It gave me an unbelievably different life, because once I realized that I was one with everything, I finally felt comfort in my own skin. My knees are not shaking. I was not nervous to talk with you. I am so comfortable.
Good.
yeah, in my own being,
Yeah,
what might you?
that is amazing. That is wonderful. I know that I love what you were told, because so many people are afraid of, we hear the word the collective conscious so much now, and so many people equate that with here, the collective here. I usually equate it with the collective, of the energy, not here, the collective as a whole. Either way, so many people are afraid when we talk about the collective consciousness. They don't want to even think in those terms because they think of losing their individuality. But
Mm,
expanding consciousness is just the opposite, because expanding consciousness wants us, for our individuality to belong, because it is our individuality, our uniqueness, being a part of it, that expands consciousness. If we were all the same, then consciousness wouldn't be expanded. It would just be more of the same. So consciousness wants us to be a part of it. The all wants us. That's why I don't think of it as like when people talk about, oh, we're the collective, and they're talking about here. I don't even consider that. I think of the collective consciousness, when the all wanted to expand and experience itself, the last thing it wanted to do was to create more of the same. It wanted us to come down and be our unique selves, but to stay a part of the whole, or else it wouldn't experience. And it wanted all of us to experience each other too. So we don't lose anything by being a part of the all, as you're putting it, which I'd never heard before, but I'm good with it. And being a part of the collective, the whole, the all. That's the beauty of it, is we do belong. We're not alone. We do belong. We are whole and complete in and of ourselves, because our uniqueness is needed. It was desired. It was wanted. It's what had to happen to expand consciousness. But at the same time, we are a part of it, because it is the all. So what you just said just lit me up, totally, and I see why you're a joy bringer. You made me very happy. and
thank you.
Yeah, and Helen Wilson is over here just singing your praises. I just wanted you to know that, or Helene. I'm not sure which way it's pronounced, but and we've got another guest too. So thank you both very much for joining us. But yeah, you're that she loves you. Amen. You're so loved. Thank you for being her friend. I mean, just all kinds of messages over here singing your praises. So you're bringing her joy too.
Thank you. Yes, Helene found me on a podcast with Aaron Strayer a couple years ago, reached out to me, and I was able to become her friend
Good.
and mail her books and different things. Yes, but what you were saying, Mesha, was so beautifully expressed, and it
Thank
gave
you.
me God bumps, goosebumps in the truth of it. Yes. The other thing that they all said to me that in the middle of the night that day was that with me, they all said, Joy, you don't understand. You don't get it. With you in matter and me with the power of the universe, what we will accomplish.
Yeah.
And that gave me that understanding of the co creation that we do.
Yes.
And I have been co-creating incredibly, books. I always hesitated to say I channeled them, but I've said they wrote themselves through my heart and hands with such effortlessness and such ease. If you consider that we are connected, and I wrote every day for decades in my journal, why wouldn't books just come through me with such ease?
Yes.
So I showed the first one, this Go Enjoy an Alphabetical Adventure. And it's a book that I wrote. I did a revision of it last year with a different cover because
It's beautiful.
to name Thank you. To name it as the relatable book of essays, poems, and questions to ignite your joy that it is, because people seeing the hot air balloon, they thought many times they thought it's a kid's book. I don't need to look at it, but it isn't. It is relatable stories. This says on the back, Go Enjoy an Alphabetical Adventure is an engaging, relatable book of essays, poems, and questions offering touchstones that deliver aha moments. Reading aspects of Joy's journey through the blame, shame, and pain of her youth, readers discover healing edges of their own to transform. This layered book of vignettes and poems embedded with spirit, essence, and joy delivers a unique yet universal journey into self realization. So, either one of these, I say for people new in their awakening journey, they might be fine with simply this version. The edited version has additional awareness.
Sure.
It has it has a wider breadth of consciousness because I grew immensely between these two books.
You know, there's so many parallels. One of my first logos was a hot air balloon. It's a joy bringer thing. It's a joy bringer thing, and yeah, people didn't know how to take that either. And it's about lifting people up. It's about the lightness. I know, but yeah, people don't know how to take that. But two parallels in our upbringing that it's the okay, that's enough from you. That's enough. Go over there, be quiet. Kids are to be seen, not heard. And then the people in my life as an adult, even at all three husbands, that's enough now. That's enough now. I've found myself over the years as I introduce myself, even I'd say, and I'm usually too much for people. I've literally, that's how I would introduce myself, is, I'm usually too much for people because that's what people would say to me is, okay, that's enough now. And and just the other day, I found myself saying, and if somebody has to say to me, that's enough now, that's not somebody that's in alignment with me and somebody I need to be around because I'm not too much for anybody. If I'm too much for them, it's somebody I don't need to be around because there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not too much for anyone. I'm just fine the way I am. I'm not too much. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And that felt so good to say. I'm not too much. I'm Mesha. And that felt so liberating and so good to say. And that is an edited version of that's why I don't have a hot air balloon logo anymore. It's my edited version because that is an expanded consciousness. And when people hear us saying things like that, some get so they're not comfortable with that, and all that means is expanding consciousness. There's definitely not too much. Thank you, Sherry. What that means is our awareness is expanded. We are because people they hear the terminology and we kind of scare them off sometimes. And I don't want to scare anybody off with saying my consciousness is expanded. I know exactly what you mean. We're more self-aware. We are now aware that of aspects of truth or we're just aware of it and have embraced it and accepted it and can speak about it and live it and talk about it. And I am so glad that you have expanded aspects of your consciousness in the edited version. And I love the hot air balloons still, but I get it, we can't go with the hot air balloons.
Yes, that's so beautiful. You and I are, so aligned.
Yeah.
There was a man all those years ago who read the first version with the hot air balloon on it, and he gave me, it's hanging on my lamp in this over here in my office, the most beautiful glass ornament hot air balloon. And he wrote me a note. He said, Joy, you lifted my understandings. You lifted my thoughts to a better level. And what this could be also, there's that term about old souls, new souls. it could be that some of us, maybe we're on some leading edge of awakening. Maybe we're not. There's no one that's ahead or behind. We all are where we are. And the thing is, when we are in a more expanded consciousness, I mean, my throat chakra opened when I was 53 years old. Ever since then, I am writing, like I've written and written books and books, and now chapters in books. I am expressing more than ever. And I can get talking, excuse me, I can get talking and forget to stop because, and the thing about you, Mesha, and your too muchness, I was aware years ago, years when I was still very quiet and observing. I was being who I was. And there would be people that I experienced as too much for me. And I later realized that everyone is a part of me, and how they were expressing, now that is a part of me. Now no one is too much for me.
Yeah.
You don't scare me. You don't bowl me over. And the thing is that I am so blessed because I've only been married one time.
Yes, you are blessed.
but but that marriage was that young, when we married young, and I married my opposite, and we have two amazing adult men, our sons who are grown up and who are married. But when he divorced me, it freed me to live beyond that relationship. And what happened for me is I attracted this guy. And he was so good for me until I kept growing in consciousness. And how I say is I out vibrated that man. He
Yes.
is, he is still a friend. However, he wasn't willing to keep growing. And then there was this other guy, and then there was this other guy. Well, now I have been partnering with a beautiful man named Michael, who has been in my life for 3 incredible years, because this man never once interrupted me, stopped me from expressing, told me that I was too much. This man is the most patient, listening, really perfect partner for me. And he wasn't like some other partners in my life that were nervous to drive somewhere in a big city. And this man drove me to New York City. He doesn't like to fly. So I invite everyone to look up. It's called, I don't know if we could put it below the show later, but because it's Kidlit TV, Designed to Shine, Joy Resor. Recently, what came out was a video that we drove to New York City for me to tape. And it turned out as a really fun, entertaining, educational video. It's about these 2 books that I have written.
Oh, how nice. That really are children's books this time.
They are children's books for adults. Like what I knew
Okay.
when they came through Mesha, I understood that these were children's books that would speak to the children, but also nurture the inner child of adults.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And
That is brilliant. Speak to
and
the children. It's for children, but would speak to the inner child of adults. Girl, that's brilliant.
well, I didn't try to do it. It's simply what happened,
Well,
right?
that's the
Because
universe for you, but that's brilliant nonetheless.
yeah, it really is, because when adults share these books with children, they are both benefiting. Um, Now, these are rhymes. I would be happy to read. Do you want, you can name an alphabet letter, Mesha.
Oh, let's go with
Um,
M. No, no, no. Let's go
and,
with J. J for joy bringers. Let's go with J for joy bringers. Yeah, that way it hits
oh,
both of us. How about that?
okay,
And
in book,
Sherry Moyes says, "Oh yes, love that." And ironically, I have an educator friend who's a writer that has been toying with the idea of writing children's books. And I said, I think you could write children's books that would, because she wants to write more with an adult flair, that would touch the adults too. So we are so much alike. It's not funny, but that's because we're good with being part of the all. But in our uniqueness, we understand that that is what we're called to do. So yeah, this is so good. I love it. So yeah, yeah. What's your J say?
well, I could read both J's. In book one, it's
Yes.
joy,
Okay.
and in book two, it's juggle.
Oh,
Um,
juggling the joy.
and actually, in that video that we will put the link that just came out on the kidlittv.org site, I hula hoop and read this rhyme at the same time.
Oh, girl, that's talent.
I I didn't know I could. I mean, I knew I could hula hoop and read. I had done it before. So here's the illustration.
Oh my. Okay.
This book is beautifully illustrated, my books. Okay, joy, a feeling so high, so bold, and so deep. It's natural, normal, your birthright to keep. Meet essence of joy on a walk in the creek, then stepping on grass in tender bare feet. Greet joy by yourself or with badgers nearby, with monkeys on treetops, geese streaming through sky. Add hula in sunbeams, do not hesitate. Share it, embrace it, to joy celebrate.
I love it. I love it. That is amazing. That is so good. We just need to, yeah, instead of starting our mornings with I am this, I am that, we just need to start our mornings reading that. I mean, yeah, just talk to the inner child, wake up the joy. I'm doing a journal with the I want to, can I use that in the journal? That is amazing. That is so much better than I am wonderful. I am this. I am that. Let's just I am joy. I'm gonna keep it. I love that.
Thank you, Mesha. And here's Juggle.
Oh my. Okay.
When clowns toss blue balls up high in the air, they juggle with laughter, with smiles, with flair. You're not in the circus, your hair's not hot red. Leave juggling to clowns, let's clean off your bed. Is your closet too full? Are your books on the floor? Does baseball or ballet feel like a chore? What's yours to release in a jungle of days when juggling too much leaves no time to play?
Oh, yeah. We can't juggle too much and have no time to play. If Sherry Moyes is still on here, she's like, I, she was still here. if she's still here, she is like she's owning that big time. That's gonna go in her that's gonna go in her journal for her business people. I can tell you because that is fantastic. Yeah, we can't be juggling so much that there's no time to play because life is supposed to be all of those things. And
Life, yes.
yeah, life should have all of those things. And I have, ironically enough, if I went back enough in these pages of notes that I keep from all the things that I channel or whatever during the evenings, I have notes similar to saying very those kinds of things from like the past 3 evenings of channeling after meditation or through meditation, where it's about because that's the purpose of the journal is to point out that if we would take the time, I'm here and I totally agree, as you know. Yes, I do know. I'm Sherry. That if we will take the time, then we have the time to do all of those things. Because it's what we have to take the time to do is manage our energy. And when we manage our energy right, then we have time to do all of those things. And so because that's what life is. If we put all of our energy into work, et cetera, and not play. I mean, we have to have all of it. Yeah,
Yes.
we have to have all of it.
Yes. Yes. I also use the word value. Like if we would look at what are we valuing?
Is it putting
And
value in your life?
yes, because one of the greatest exercises I was ever led to do is decades ago, I would take a lot of journaling classes and writing classes. And one of the times they had us make a pie and divide it into sections on our paper. Talk about, put in there what you are spending time doing, then make another pie and divide the sections what you would like to be doing. And when you do that, you see, oh my gosh, I'm spending all this time over here. What I rather would be doing is over here. And I know that I probably at
And what that forces us to do is to make ourselves get the programming out of the way. We can't should ourselves. We have to what we want to do. We can't should ourselves. What should you be doing? What do you really want to do? That's it, because if the pie is what you should do, then that's not going to help you. So we have to do it honestly from our hearts, not what should you be doing, but what do you really want to be doing? Because that's what's going to light you up. And then if that's if yeah, so yeah, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you don't need to be sorry, but once we have shifted and grown, and I mean, my life, I love it because I am doing everything I desire to do, everything that is feeding different aspects of me, everything that is inspiring other people in whatever way I'm able. I'm like this morning, I spent time writing an article for my website so that I could link it in my newsletter that comes out on Thursday. And I don't always have a new article on my site to link into my newsletter, but I'm starting to do it more because my time is used differently. You know, when we've harmonized our home and we've cleaned our closets, when we've released what's in the way, when we don't have a mail pile weighing us down, and I want to speak to that because all those things, Mesha, that you name as the shoulds, and some of them are, they dampen, they reduce our energy. When we have undone things that are calling on us, like do me, it's all draining our energy.
Yes.
And so there are people in my world that just, they don't get me. they love me and they think that Joy, she accomplishes so much. The thing is, I do. However, I am not striving, rushing, being overly busy. I'm just so clear on what is mine to do that I do what is mine to do. And so I want to say that you mentioned journal. I also wrote a beautiful journal that's touched I don't know how many people. It's called Go Enjoy, Venture to Your Center, Journaling Prompts to Enliven Your Joy. It is no longer in print, although you might be able to find a copy somewhere when you Google that. But it's available as an ebook on Amazon. I've also, in this year particularly, have been writing chapters in books. And this one, I wrote 2 essays in this book that came out, I believe, in 2019. And this book, I still have copies of this book I could sign and mail to people. It's a beautiful book of 1 page for every day essays.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I'm writing in 3 books of this publisher, Laura DeFranco of Brave Healer Productions. She's
Yes.
putting out very many healing books for the planet, and I'm grateful that that's how we met on
Yes.
a Zoom call last week for the one book,
Mm-hmm.
Find Your Voice,
Save
Save
your
Your
life.
Life, Volume 3. And then I wrote for a book coming out in December called The Ultimate Self-Healing Guide, Volume 5. I wrote a chapter called A Daily Spiritual Practice, Awaken to Unlimited Joy. And I talk all about whatever I did about that having a spiritual practice can bring amazing joy. My spiritual practice that I restarted after the all visited me. It includes writing gratitudes,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm grateful for, and it includes reading in daily devotionals and writing in a journal about what happened yesterday and how I felt about it and whatever. So I can't believe that I've documented my life for 40 years and that those journals have helped me write chapters in books this year. I've pulled out quotes from my journals.
Yeah. You were
So,
yeah, you were being guided, you were following your inner knowing, and you were being guided to this moment in time because this is something you were going to do. So that's um yeah, it just your heart knew your story, which I'm always telling people, your heart knows our story. Your heart knew your story, and you were open to that. You were listening to your heart mind. You were following the story. And here goes my voice. You were following the story, that you were supposed to, that you were meant to, and now, and that time has come that you're using that, and that is such a beautiful thing, and it's going to bring joy and is bringing joy to so many people, and that is so it's not boastful or any of those things when we say we've been told we're joy bringers. I mean, it's not about us. It's about allowing um, it's about allowing joy to come through us. It's about being open, willing vessels to be used to be an impact in other people's lives. It's like the reason I do this, and I'll come on here and I just tell whatever, and of course I do have filters. I act like I don't. I do have, trust me. But it's about being open and vulnerable and willing in order to help other people, and that's what brings people joy. I laugh a lot, and I am kind of over the top and too much, I suppose, if you want to go that. I don't think so, but I get it. But um but joy isn't necessarily that. Joy is different for everyone, but it's, what it feels like to you, and that's what it's about. It's that vibration that is up there for you. It feels different to everyone. It feels similar, but it feels different to everyone. And so it's bringing that uplifting hot air balloon, that lifting up experience that makes people feel lighter and better, and they know when you walk in the room the energy changes, and it's that kind of thing. And you don't have to be, I don't have to be in over the top mode or any of those things for that to happen. It's just who I am, and it has nothing to do with, and the same with you. It has nothing to do necessarily with, it's just being willing to walk in what we were made to be. It's being willing to walk in our authenticity, and that's that's a that's a wonderful thing. Not everyone is willing to walk in their authenticity, and when we're not willing to walk in our authenticity, we're not happy people. We're very unhappy people. We are not joyful people when we are unwilling to be our authentic selves. And so, for us to have joy in our lives, we have to be willing and open to our authenticity. And so, I'm very grateful that my authentic self is one that does bring joy. But whatever my authentic self would have been, I wanted to be that.
Yes, beautiful, Mesha. And I would speak to something else that I don't know who this will relate to, but I had the understanding that for me, that there came a time when what I needed to do was get on the floor and give over my egoic will, my ego, give it over to the God of my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I had to surrender some aspect of me to the God of my understanding. And I know that that was frightening, that everything in me was, so much in me didn't want to do it. So much in me thought I would be annihilated if I gave myself over to divinity, but I was not annihilated.
You're
I
whole and
have
complete. Yeah.
I have very little ego.
Mm-hmm.
And I am, I am so grateful because when we allow ourselves to become who we really are, life changes. Life becomes more in flow, easier. The more I love myself, the more I have boundaries, the more I'm not doing everything that someone else thinks I need to do. It's just so much shifts when we know who we are, we know what is ours to do, and we love ourselves. It's amazing. And what else might I say? That I offer complimentary confidential calls
Okay.
to anyone who would like one. They typically last from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. And I, I have been given, I am connected to the wisdom of the universe. I am connected to everything. And so chances are that through what I've been through and experienced, I have some little gem of some sort to offer to the caller that might help them see something differently,
Mm-hmm.
make a new action that might bring them an elevated experience of life. And I think that that is that anyone who's very awake, we desire the entire planet to awaken. And we know that individuals will awaken in their own time frame.
Right.
And we are patient. And if it's your time to have a talk with me, then please reach out to me. You can find me through Joy on Your Shoulders on Facebook. You can find me at the Joy on Your Shoulders website. You could leave a comment below this interview. But you could Google me because I used to hide. I
I did
hid,
too.
I think I hid. I had been so shut down. When we're so shut down and we don't feel good about who we are, we hide. And now that we are shining who we are, we're saying, hey, we are who we are. If we can support you in any way, we desire to do that. It might be that one of the books through me would speak to you. It could be that a phone call with me would speak to you. I don't know. It could be that you just have a question for me, and please ask it. I allow, and like I said earlier, Mesha, that Helene found me on a podcast, and she calls me every now and then, and I mail her books I write, and she mails me books she writes, and we're friends. She's in Texas, I'm in North Carolina. And I know the other thing of when I say that, what I know is my world expands every day. Because every day that I am who I am, I attend a Zoom and then I meet Mesha, and Mesha reaches out to me and says, I'd like to interview you. And I'm like, thank you. Okay. And expanding me in the world is Mesha's journey. She does that by interviewing people and all the other ways she is being herself, what she's writing and who she's impacting. So the expansion, how you named it, of the expansion of divine consciousness or the collective consciousness in a better way. And that makes me think of this book.
Yes, let's get to that book.
So this book came into my world 6 years ago when I was dating one of my post-divorce men, and he said, let's go to a party. And at this party, all these women came up to me and said, have you met Miriam? Have you met Marian? Have you met Marian? And I'm like, not yet. And then I met her. She invited me to a women's circle in her home in South Asheville, North Carolina. When I started going to that, when I went, there were 7 of us in the room, and the topic of this book came up, and everybody in the circle said, I love that book. I have that book. I know the man who channeled that book. So I think the man that channeled Jesus in this book lived in Asheville long ago. But I had never heard of it until that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered it. I started reading it. And the thing is, I don't know that I will ever stop reading it. I read a section every morning. And ever since I've been dating this incredible man who came into my world, he wanted a spiritual practice, and I am certified in spiritual direction. Oh, I'm also an Alliance of Divine Love minister. I bring the highest degree of love where I am. I officiate at weddings. But this book, this man who came into my world wanted a spiritual practice. So before we lived together, I was reading to him from The Way of Mastery on the telephone. And I have read it every day for 6 years.
6 years.
I put,
Wow, that's amazing.
and the thing is, there's an introduction that talks about Jeshua ben Joseph. Jesus says, read it every day, read it over and over again. So I'm reading it like the 12th time. We read it twice a year. I even I wrote in the revised version of my first book, I wrote an essay called The Way of Mastery
Okay.
because I decided it was time to talk about this. May I read a little bit of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's called Your Story for a reason. You go, girl.
The Way of Mastery. List several of your favorite books. Do you notice a pattern? Are you surprised? In 2015, Dan and I enjoy a friend's picnic in Asheville, North Carolina, where I meet a woman who invites me to a circle in her home. The first time attending, I learned that each woman knows a book I've never heard of called The Way of Mastery. Since I've long adored reading spiritual texts that support my evolution, I order a copy. OMG. I
OMG. OMG.
OMG. I treasure the messages in this book published by the Shanti Cristo Foundation. So far, I've daily read and reread passages for 5 years, sharing word of this book with soul sisters and packing it for road trips. When Michael and I begin dating in 2018, he asks for advice to start a spiritual practice. Before we know it, the Way of Mastery enters our morning calls. Jeshua's channeled words are beautiful and rich, leading us into consciousness conversations,
Yay.
deeply changing us. Here's a taste of the book's introduction. You hold in your hands the treasured teachings of Jeshua ben Joseph, Jesus, one of the greatest masters humankind has ever known. These teachings were given during the years 1994 to 1997. Please do not hurry as you read through each lesson. Rather, allow each sentence to be held within the heart, each idea to fill the mind and the body with its very real frequency and vibration. For each word, the structure of each sentence, the cadence and the humor is by design. These words are to be studied and savored over and over until their meaning deepens and flowers into the grace of Christ living in you and as you, allowing the ray of that light to penetrate your mind, correcting every perception you have ever held about yourself or the world. And your life will begin to be guided by a voice that is not your own until the voice you have called your own is no longer heard. What has been called the ego will simply dissolve, and the mind will know perfect peace. Does this take time? You are as close as the choice to teach only love. May you be transformed by the way of mastery in your unique process of remembering who you really are.
Yes. Yes. It's not about getting to know yourself, it's about remembering yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we each are a ray of divinity.
Yes.
And which ray do we resonate with? Do we resonate with the Buddha, with Jesus, with
Right.
whoever? We can become as that ray in the world. Um, so I am simply a human being having a divine experience, and I have grown and changed immensely so that I can touch more and more individuals with who I am, which is really fun.
Right. Right. And helps so many other people because they need it. It's something that they're longing for. It's something that fills a space in their life. And the way you were able to do that is by making the space in your life to become that. I mean, you talked about the changes that happened in your life to make the space for it. And also, you made the space by doing the journaling and taking the time. You made the space to grow yourself as that to begin with. So, um, it's been your life has been a beautiful journey and is continuing to be even a more beautiful journey. So your story is just amazing and is going to continue to be so, and is so full of yes, becoming and being you, but being in so much service to others, which of course is what we're here to do because we're always in relationship with self and relationship with others. And um, that's your story is beautiful, and so thank you so much for sharing it. Tell everyone again, it's joy on your shoulders. Is that what it is? Joy on your
Yeah,
shoulders. Yes. Okay.
yeah.
And you're everywhere. Facebook, website. Is it all social media? Also Instagram. You said.
Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter a little bit. But I know that when you Google Joy Resor, you can find, if you need some inspiration, you'll find it.
Right.
And I want to say also that sometimes we have to figure this out, but the shop function on my website isn't working at the moment. So if you want something that I have created, you could always contact me. And I've sent pictures through texting to people, and we can have a conversation. But we're going to figure out that website situation soon.
It's technology, and that's kind of that's really kind of really not our thing. Our thing is this, and then yeah, just contact us. We'll figure out a way to get it to you. Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to add?
Hmm. Thank you. I think I would just say thank you so much, Mesha, for being who you are,
Oh,
for
thank you.
yeah, for doing what you do and offering what you offer, and that you reached out to me because we have enjoyed talking with one another for this hour and all the parallels and synchronicities of our lives. It's been beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I yeah feel that everywhere. Yeah, that is. Thank you. It has been a beautiful experience, and we must stay in touch. And you have to come back and tell us more, and talk about each book or talk about events you're doing or whatever you want to talk about. You come back anytime. I know that everyone would love to hear from you and hear more specifics. So yeah, because this introduced us to you and who you are and why you're a joy bringer and why there's joy this and joy that. Well, now we see why. So now let's delve into that more because, or just come back and let's just have some more joy because you can never have too much joy. And I just don't believe that there's you can't have too much. So yes, thank you so much for being here. All right, you all. Go ahead. Okay. You all, you know what I'm going to say. Um, every life is a story. No one's story is more important than anyone else's. And as long as we're breathing, we're not out of ink. So as long as you're breathing, keep writing your story and keep living. And I don't want you to just live. I want you to live in great big capital letters, big and bold. And that's why we bring the people here that we do, and we tell their stories, and we just keep encouraging. And yeah, I am maybe a little over the top, but I just really do believe in living in great big capital letters, and I want you all to do the same. So as long as you're breathing, keep living. Bye, y'all.